various protests.
That's not what it is.
Okay, what team number are you?
5.
5, and you guys are?
11.
Okay.
Something rated something something.
Scale.
Chris,
Scale ratio.
we got Ryan, we got Jordan, we
I
got
like that soiled on the sap. What the folks you put that?
Corked.
Soil.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell that is, and then.
Ultramate.
Ultramate.
Oh, yeah, we said anything.
Yeah.
Then we were.
I said Falsic.
Ooh.
That's wrong. That's very wrong.
Then we check buzzers too.
One moment. Great. All the buzzers are working. Okay. That is brought to you by Mike Shane et al.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, toss up one. A novel by this author includes a comical scene in which the protagonist fails to have sex in a photography studio, which is promptly struck by a falling bomb, revealing a sign reading "finished in 5 minutes." The protagonist of a novel by this author discovers a briefcase full of stolen stamps in the rubble of a bombing that kills his Nazi girlfriend and sells it to build his own hotel in a quarry. In a novel by this author, a beer-loving man fills his home with intellectual books stolen from his job operating a hydraulic compactor, which he later uses. Bubble. That's 15. So your bonus. What's this? Okay, there we go. In the section Terrorists, 6th graders chalk this phrase on the clothes of 1st graders before being called into the principal's office for 10 points each. Name this 4-word phrase which titles a novel published in 1967. Throughout the novel, it is used as an adjective phrase describing the wheelchair-bound Shorty, as well as the name of a hotel, a disguise worn by Jack the Ripper, a character, and a pastoral ideal. That makes sense in a moment. What do you have for me? You do not. It's trout fishing in America. This American author of The Hawkline Monster and In Watermelon Sugar became a countercultural icon after writing Trout Fishing in America. Brodigan dedicated trout fishing in America to this poet after Lorca, one of the founders of San Francisco's Sixth Gallery. He led a workshop called Poetry as Magic and compared poets to radios receiving transmissions in his 1965 Vancouver lectures.
Is that Kenneth, what's his face?
Rexroth?
Rexroth? Is that what
Sure, he's from there.
Rexroth?
It's Jack Spicer, which is like,
Whoa.
whoa. You got
That's
that
there.
there.
Oh,
Okay.
Toss 2. Along with Jesse Collins, this man adopted Eli Hampshire's slogan of 3 acres and a cow as his promise for reformers. I like Chamberlain, prompt, Joseph, 15.
Good.
Holy shit.
I rolled a nat classic on that. Good job, Jordan.
It's a good buzz.
That's true, yeah.
Maybe the best buzz I've seen all tournament. Here's your bonus. A common inducible transcription system using this antibiotic as the activator and the TN10 transposon confers let me try that again. A common inducible transcription system uses this antibiotic as the activator, and the TN10 transposon confers resistance to it. 10 points each. Name this antibiotic which binds to the 30S component of the ribosome. Other antibiotics in this one's namesake family include terramycin, minocycline, and doxycycline.
Wait, this is tetracycline. Tetracycline?
That would be correct. A condition named for this man in which the proximal renal tubules are disrupted occurs if one ingests expired tetracycline. An anemia named for this man is a genetic disorder common in Ashkenazi Jews, which can result in bone marrow failure.
Fanconi?
Yeah. Fanconi anemia often results in this form of leukemia by age 40, and its megakaryoblast form is very common in older adults with Down syndrome. Allo-rods are found in its M3 subtype.
AML.
That is correct for all 3 ones. Could you guys have body then?
No, no, yeah.
Oh, that's right. You're-
Penultimate, I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's right. Okay. I'm just trying to. Sometimes I expect things to come up and then I'm confused when they don't. Okay. Toss up 3. After an argument with the man who held this post in 1987, both Gilbert Kalish and Leon Fleischer resigned, and then there's a fragment of a word. The Wall Street Journal's Greg Sandow wrote a controversial 1998 article accusing the man who held this post of not caring about sound quality. That led to Andre Previn writing in to rebuke Sandow, who was also accused of being racist for reporting rumors that this post was only given to its then holder to increase foreign donations. A man who stepped down from this post.
I'm gonna say, how about music director of the Boston Symphony Orchestra?
Read it 50 points.
Because Ozawa is Japanese. I couldn't think of any other ethnic conductor of classical music in America.
Hey, here's your bonus. According to Janak's theorem, the derivative of the total electronic energy of a Kohn-Sham orbital with respect to these quantities gives the corresponding orbital energies for 10 points each. Name these quantities, which must lie between 0 and 1 in Kohn-Sham formalism.
Maybe occupancy or something?
Oh,
I don't know.
I like that a lot, occupancy.
I'll take it. It's an occupation number, but Janak's theorem is effectively a continuous analog of this other theorem named for a Nobel laureate in economics, which equates the first ionization energy of a system to the negative of the energy of its own.
Coupons.
Yeah, that, say that.
Coupons?
Yeah. Koopman's theorem can be erroneous due to the presence of electron correlation. Multi-electron effects can make solving this equation difficult, but for hydrogen-like atom, its solutions have 4 quantum numbers.
Schrodinger.
That's right. For the
Yeah.
Okay, here it is, toss up 4. A dimer of this molecule present in Lone Star tick bites leads to a peculiar allergy to red meat. One enzyme that hydrolyzes this molecule is only active at pH 6 and can be used as a marker for senescence. Brand and Paramon developed a method that uses the upstream activation sequence controlling this compound's metabolism for targeted gene expression in Drosophila. A defect in the metabolism of this compound caused by mutations in the GALT gene can lead to cataracts in infants. An enzyme that removes this molecule from GB3 is deficient in Fabry's disease. A blue color is produced when this molecule is cleaved from an indole chromophore in blue-white screens. This molecule is found on the ends of the O and B antigens, while its N-acetyl derivative is on the A. This molecule is cleaved from its C4 epimer glucose by beta-gal.
Galactose?
This poem was influenced by an earlier work by Nicander of Colophon and includes an epilogue in which its author claims the best part of me will be born immortal beyond the distant stars. Everyone teach. Name this 15-book Latin poem that opens with a description of the creation of the world and includes the mythological stories of figures like Pygmalion and Alcyone.
So, that's more.
Metamorphosis, I'm pretty sure. Metamorphosis.
This over 70,000 line manuscript in Old French contains ethical commentary as well as an entire verse adaptation of the Metamorphoses. William Caxton published a literal prose version of this manuscript in England in 1480.
Cool.
But
What you got?
Look.
It's Ovid Moralizé, or Moralized Ovid. The Moralized Ovid influenced the retelling of the Tereus story in Book 3 of this Middle English poem. This poem's 8th and final book is an exemplum against incest that relates the story of Apollonius of Tyre.
So, which one would it be? Probably one of the Chaucer ones?
Here as well.
Oh, you think?
Got
Go ahead.
Here's one.
it's Confessio Amantis.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't figure that out.
That's why. Lot of problems.
You got 10 points. Next toss. The presence of the seal of the Carrara family on some buildings in this painting indicates that the domed building may be Padua's Carmen rather than the Dome of the Rock, as often supposed. When this painting was exhibited in the Palazzo Manfrina in the 19th century, it was mistakenly labeled as the artist's family, to the point that a sculpture of the artist was made based on one of the characters in it. Though it is not a portrait, this painting was commissioned by Gabriel Vendramin, who was later painted with his family by a former assistant of this painting's artist. Salvatore Settis argued that it depicts a recently exiled Adam and Eve with the infant Cain in his book on interpreting the hidden subject.
The Tempest. 10 points.
Oh, okay. Not at all what I was thinking. Good.
Amin Malouf wrote a 1986 novel about this man showing his travels to Granada, Fez, Cairo, and Rome for 10 points each. Name is Moore, who wrote a book whose title translates as Description of Africa. He was baptized, freed from slavery, and took the name of the Pope that he presented his book to.
Is it that? That's what I thought. Yeah, I was supposed to Leo Africanus.
Leo Africanus wrote about this city in Mali, which was the scholarly center of Africa. It was home to the Sankore Madrasa University.
Sankore.
I think.
No, Sankore is it's in Timbuktu.
Yeah.
Timbuktu.
Okay.
Yeah.
This Moroccan general under Ahmad I al-Mansur successfully defeated the Songhai at the Battle of Tondibi and sacked Yao and Timbuktu. He famously burned the salt mines of Tagaza.
To your point.
That's right.
Good.
Here is Itosso. This adjective describes a class of functorial field theories in which the correlation functions are metric independent. Those theories are broadly divided into the Witten type and the Schwartz type, and an example of the latter is the theory of Chern and Simmons. A type of computing described by this adjective grades and fuses certain non-abelian quasi-particles. The Fibonacci model exemplifies that type of computing. One class of quantum error correcting codes described by this adjective permits the characterization of stabilizer violations as anyons. Kitaev's toric code is one example. This adjective describes a property held by systems that are robust against all local perturbations. That property is this kind of order. This adjective also describes a class of materials and includes bismuth and timonide, which are characterized by symmetry-protected surface states. Those are namesake insulators. For 10 points, get this adjective that also describes spaces with particular...
Homeotopic.
That is incorrect. That also describes spaces with particular configurations of open sets, like Kolmogorov and Hausdorff spaces.
You're done. Topological.
Topological.
They are famous.
Yeah.
Here's your bonus. The name of this group was coined by Barbara Smith. For 10 points each, named this black feminist lesbian group formed in 1974 in Boston. It took its name as a way of honoring an action carried out by Harriet Tubman.
Yeah. The conductors.
It's the Combahee River Collective. This Caribbean-American writer is possibly the most famous member of the Combahee River Collective. She wrote the essays Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House and the book The Cancer Journals.
No. Oh, God.
Paul Marshall. You could get this. I can't remember.
Cleft.
Okay, it's Audre Lorde.
Oh, yeah, she's impressive.
The collective linked their contemporary feminism to the work of older women like this African-American abolitionist who gave the Ain't I a Woman speech.
You don't deserve credit.
That is correct. That's on the bonus. Toss-up 7. In this area of law, general deference to state principles in the absence of conflict is required by the Buechner case. In some instances, the 1129 A8 requirement of unanimous approval of all classes can be avoided through the use of a cram down. Section. That's 15 points. Here's your bonus. This ruler was called Copronymus, or dung name, for supposedly having defecated in the baptismal font, though it's more likely that his name was a clerical slur originating from his support for iconoclasm for 10 points each. Identified as Byzantine emperor who finally got the church to approve those iconoclastic policies at the Council of Hieria, and who waged 9 campaigns against the Bulgars, winning at Marseille and Anchieta.
Constantine V.
That's right. Constantine V was a member of this dynasty founded by his father Leo III and taking its name from a region of South Central Anatolia.
Isloria.
During Constantine's rule, this polity, which had previously revolted over his father's imposition of iconoclasm, was lost to the empire when the Lombard king Aistulf captured its capital and killed its last ruler, Eutychius. What you got? Oh, it's the Exarchate of Ravenna. Sure is a polity. Toss-up 8. After hearing a prophecy of a youth's future success, this man sneers, "Be well advised to be afraid of a dream reader." According to one account, this man joins Rienz after the youth he believes to be his son is placed on a ship by a ruler trying to kill all children born on May Day. In that story, this man's forces are lost after he is distracted by a magician and thus unable to save King Nero. And this leader is ultimately also killed when he is slain by the knight of the strange beast, King Pellinore. His third son angrily beheads his own mother after catching her in an affair with Lamorak.
Cloth.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
This condition is equivalent to setting the covariant derivative of the full potential to 0 for 10 points each, identified as a gauge condition that is very useful in working with time-dependent electromagnetic fields.
Lorentz.
When viewed as the exterior derivative of the four potential, the electromagnetic field is this type of mathematical object with a particular degree. Some of these objects can be contracted to yield a scalar, though the electromagnetic field cannot be, since neither its covariant or contravariant degree vanishes. What do you got?
Tensor.
Prompt.
Second, right?
Yep.
Correct.
An alternative to the Lorentz gauge is the Coulomb gauge, useful in quantum electrodynamics, which sets this operation of the vector potential equal to 0. This operation applied to a magnetic field is 0, meaning that there are no magnetic monopoles in classical electrodynamics.
Divergence.
9. The Hatch-Ott protocol for this task begins by reacting an acidic mercury solution with stannous chloride and eventually produces a cold vapor. For some transition metals, including tin and lead, the analyte is mixed with sodium borohydride before being fed into a device that incorporates a heated quartz tube. In another approach to this task, the analyte is ashed in a graphite furnace. That approach, which offers 1,000-fold better detection limits than its 1 part per million predecessor, is the electrothermal method. In the most primitive technique for performing this task, a nebulized analyte is driven past a series of flow spoilers and heated by a controlled flame. The enthalpy associated with this process is maximum for tungsten. In a Born-Haber cycle, this task is schematically the first performed, followed by ionization. One of these devices was used to inject charged droplets into...
Vaporization
I think I'm going to prompt you.
from like sublimation? From a solid?
I don't think I can.
Solid to gas?
Into the apparatus of Milligan's oil drop experiment. For 10 points, name this laboratory task in which an analyte is desolvated, volatilized, and possibly dissociated to prepare for analysis in an AAS or AES device.
Activation.
No, it's atomization. That is the word we're looking for. I don't know. You can protest if you like. I don't know anything about this stuff.
I don't think it's gonna.
Sorry. Here is toss-up 10. A now disabled Twitter account called HSM Press Office controversially tweeted that this country was experiencing largely minuscule retributive justice. After an electric transformer exploded in this country in 2015, a stampede broke out and several young people jumped from windows. The U.S. State Department and Major Emmanuel Churcher questioned an NYPD report about events in this country that suggested that fugitives were still on the loose and not dead. The hashtag not just 147, not just a number, trended as a result of events here, which resulted in nightly curfews imposed in Wajir and the Tana River counties. The government over here.
Ethiopia.
That's incorrect. The government of this country put $1 million bounty on a former school teacher and principal, Mohammed Kuno. This country's Garissa University College was the site of a targeted attack on Christian students. For 10 points in this country, where Al-Shabaab gunmen killed 147 people in April of 2015.
Somalia.
No, it's Kenya. All right.
Oops. Yeah, that's what
At the half,
Okay, Jesus Christ.
I have a score of 25 to 230.
Yep. I did.
Very good.
You didn't think
I don't know anything.
Oh,
I'm like,
touch.
that's the same.
You and
Silence. Toss the ball. One way of computing this quantity in exponential time is to employ a Monte Carlo algorithm developed by John Pollard, known as his namesake Fingerroot algorithm. An algorithm for computing this quantity that works relatively well for orders that are smooth integers is partially named after Silver and Pohlig. The most powerful algorithm for computing this quantity can do so in sub-exponential time, but is complicated by the fact that the selection of the factor base represents a trade-off. That is the index calculus algorithm. The difficulty of computing this quantity is at the heart of a signature scheme developed by Al-Gamal. The ability to compute this quantity efficiently would solve the problem of computing g to the power x times y given as group generator g, integers x and y, and the values of g to the x and g to the y, known as the Diffie-Hellman problem. In general, computing this quantity means that given a group element g and an element A of the cyclic subgroup generated by g, one must find an integer x such that g to the x equals A. For 10 points, identify this so far intractable problem, the finite analog to the continuous function that is the inverse of exponentiation.
Discrete logarithm.
All right. That's what it is. Your bonus. In many traditions, a father whispers this mantra into the ear of his son at his coming of age ceremony. Temperance each name this 24-syllable Rigvedic mantra that may be understood to evoke the Vedic solar Deva Savitra. The Harivamsa Purana claims that the mantra's namesake was the progenitor of the Vedas. Who is it, Seth?
The preview mantra.
No, it's the Gayatri Mantra. A law code named for this man in Hinduism prescribes that the Gayatri Mantra be uttered every dawn and dusk. This law code states, his law code also states that the penalty for killing a Kshatriya is 1/4 the penalty for killing a Brahmin.
Let's go with that. Mom.
That's right. The Gayatri Mantra contains this performative utterance, which is sometimes also construed as the name of a wife of Agni. In modern Hindu rituals involving a ceremonial fire, most mantras recited by elderly priests are concluded with this utterance.
Neti Neti.
No, the correct answer is Svaha.
Okay.
10 points for you. The speaker of this poem asks, for what wears out the life of mortal men, and answers that repeated shocks exhaust the energy of strongest souls and numb the elastic powers. This poem contrasts the day when wits were fresh and clear and life ran gaily at the sparkling Thames with a strange disease of modern life before warning, fly hence our contact fear. Our contact fear, sorry. In its opening stanzas, its speaker urges a nearby shepherd to no longer leave thy wistful flock unfed, come and again begin the quest. The title character of this poem.
Yeah.
Scotland.
I couldn't.
That's what that was.
Was 15, you said?
Yeah, that's smart. I feel I'm
Your bonus. The first performance of this work was accompanied by the raising of a poster of Che Guevara and the red flag for Tempertiche. Named this Hans Werner Hansa Oratorio, a requiem for Che, which shared his name title with a painting.
Yeah, Ralph, just.
Yeah. Hensa dedicated his work, Kammer Music, 1958, to this composer. This man was a personal and professional partner for many years of the tenor Peter Pears.
Oh no, it's great.
Yeah. Hensa's symphony of this number was written while he was in Cuba and includes quotations from a Vietnamese Liberation Front song. Tchaikovsky's symphony of this number is called Pathétique.
6.
Whoa.
3 for you.
Yeah, you look my thumb. Okay, cool. Thanks for getting that. I don't know anything about that.
Here is 13. This man is credited with setting up a distribution network that moved food provided by the governor Abu Ubaidah to 100,000 famine victims. This man made his military officers swear oaths against riding Turkic horses and set an example for public access to leadership by living in a mud hut without doors. This man's name is attached to a probably fake document which banned the use of the Nakos, but provided limited formal protection to Christians in an unspecified Middle Eastern city. Mosaics depicting this man's conquest of Persia adorn the Dome of the Rock, which is sometimes known.
That's wrong, sorry. Kumar.
That's right.
Oh. That also came up.
Yeah, it was an ACF dance, and there's just one thing you said.
Yep.
While in Ephesus, this character has a vision of two great deniers, Cain and Judas Iscariot, for 10 points each. Name this character who consults the mystic Maximus in an 1873 play, whose second part features him finally taking the throne, only to be overthrown and killed soon after.
Okay.
Totally possible.
Julian is the main character of this play by Henrik Ibsen about the final non-Christian ruler of the Roman Empire.
Galen.
Yeah, that's right. Emperor and Galilee.
That's right. Christians in Rome were also the subject of this Henry Sienkiewicz novel centering the time of Nero.
Well, that is.
Well done.
Well done.
Here we go. 14. This person was said to be born out of the 30% dissatisfied with the world at the time. When he was 6 years old, this man noticed magnetic power while playing with 2 pieces of steel, after which he told his uncle, I know that which you do not know. This man, who outlined some of his methods in a book of trigonology, told his workers to pick the brains of children with a sharp needle in order to destabilize the population. A king once exiled this man and his 59,999 followers to an island in the Aegean Sea. This man was mocked as a child for his enormous head. While in Patmos, he attempted to kill darker skinned babies in order to
Dr. Iku.
Yeah.
Could it be?
Yes. Where was I? Yeah. LaFont and Tirole developed a 3-tier model of this type of government failure. Templates each name this type of corruption that occurs when an agency which was formed to act in the public interest becomes dominated by the industry it ostensibly oversees. Avoiding this problem is one of the motivations of the Coase theorem.
Externalities, avoiding these, negative externalities.
Some sort of arc.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, but
No, it's regulatory capture.
I don't know.
This member of the Chicago School of Economics developed the theory of regulatory capture in his paper, The Theory of Economic Regulation. He explained price dispersion and partial equilibrium using search costs in his 1961 article, The Economics of Information.
Oh, it's, damn it.
What you got?
It starts with an S, doesn't it? No, it's just,
It's George Stigler.
it is.
This father of the Chicago School taught Stigler and Milton Friedman. He names the paradox about traffic congestion along the Pigou and Downs and wrote the study Risk, Uncertainty, and Profit.
Yes, they
it
were
was
easy.
or pretty earlier.
Okay,
What do you got?
9.
Yeah.
good. We should have gone Stigler, I'm sorry.
Toss 15. One of the best accounts of this event comes from the letters of the English merchant George Gascoigne, who observed it occurring from his trading house. Prior to this event, Frederick Perronat, Lord of Champagne, replaced an untrustworthy German garrison with another and attempted to construct barricades between their position and a nearby citadel. A losing commander at this event, Otto Oberstein, drowned in the Scheldt while retreating from it, and the 5,000 troops under the Marquis de Havre mostly failed to offer any resistance. This event was the direct impetus that led to the meeting at which the pacification of Ghent was signed, arising from a mutiny over back wages owed to troops by Philip II.
Spanish Fury.
Yep. Exactly. Or that.
Ah, okay.
Really good job.
What's that?
Your bonus. Genre paintings by this artist include one of two women at a window in which one of the women hides her mouth beneath her shawl as if to conceal her snickering for 10 points each. In this painter who died after falling from scaffolding while working in his mystic marriage of St. Catherine for a Capuchin church, he also painted two beggar boys eating grapes and a melon.
Maybe let's shut it down. One of these people.
Yeah, maybe sure.
What you got?
Shut it.
It's Esteban Murillo. Murillo hailed from and spent most of his career in this Andalusian city, painting many pictures of his poor. Murillo also painted the city St. Isidore reading from a book, and Diego Velázquez painted a water carrier from here.
Oh, Seville.
Yeah. Critics use this term for the soft tones and colors of Murillo's religious paintings, such as his Immaculate Conception, which features putti blending into the background like haze.
That might be.
Oh my God.
What do you got?
Kind of both.
No, it's called the vapor style. 16. A story by this author ends with this narrator being unable to sleep soundly because of a hysterical laugh forever ringing in his ears. In that story by this author, the protagonist exits a lifeboat during a storm off Cape Hatteras to retrieve the title object before tying himself to it and throwing himself to his death. One of this author's title characters listens to the story of Ethelred killing a dragon from Sir Launcelot Canning's book, The Mad Tryst, while becoming increasingly disturbed by a series of noises.
Edgar Allan Poe?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Deep cuts from the Pope, man.
No, not so deep.
I mean, whatever.
All,
What story was that, John? Can I ask?
All's a House of Usher, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, isn't it? All's a House of Usher.
Yes,
Yeah.
the tail end.
All right, here's your bonus. This poem's title character acquires the Jongleur Nadeau after the death of Eglamour for 10 points each. Name this narrative poem on 6 books about a troubadour from Mantua set during the conflict between the Guelphs and the Ghibellines.
Troubadour.
What do you got? Sordello was written by this British poet of the Toccata of Galuppi's and Browning in the book.
Okay, Browning. Yeah.
The second of these poems begins, "Hang it all, Robert Browning, there can be but one Sordello." Critics are still divided about the accuracy of a passage in the 81st one that repeats the command, "Pull down that vanity."
Cantos.
That is 20 points.
Aye.
17. In an early scene in this movie, a female character is shocked to find a one-eyed bridgekeeper offering her a cure made of human blood. In another scene, a man takes out his frustrations by struggling to push over a solitary birch tree. In an infamous explicit sequence from this movie, a character drops a rock in horror, unable to throw it at 2 villains, while a youth also watches in horror and later vomits. A subplot in this film involves the pregnant servant named Gary, who prays for Odin to come to her aid. 2 characters in this film are shocked when a guest offers to sell them some overly familiar torn clothing. The title of this movie refers to something created at the site where Karen's body is lying after she's found by a character played by Max von Sydow, who brutally murders 3 goat herders staying at his house. The inspiration for The Last House on the Left, for 10 points, named this 1960 Ingmar Bergman film about a father's revenge for his daughter's rape and murder.
Virgin Spring.
This problem was attacked by Jaakko Hintikka in his major work in epistemic logic, knowledge and belief, and has its origins in its namesake's essay, A Reply to My Critics, for 10 points each. In this basically unsolved philosophical paradox, which asserts that sentences like "it's raining, but I don't believe that it is raining" is not a contradiction, is true, but is fundamentally absurd.
Well, I mean, it is
What do you got? This is called Moore's paradox. This philosopher, perhaps snidely, said that paradox was G.B. Moore's most important philosophical contribution. He was the author of Philosophical Investigations.
Is that Wittgenstein? Or it's Wittgenstein? It's Wittgenstein.
I prefer this other Moore contribution to philosophy from Principia Ethica, which uses the namesake queries to argue that no moral property is identical to a natural property. An example of the queries is, I know X is pleasurable, but is it good?
I have a question about the moral question. I did namesake though. hand thing.
What do you got?
Like hand business.
It's called the open question. You guys have. All right, 18. After the death of his mother Mary, this man was raised by his aunt Elizabeth Seton, the first American saint. Dr. Charles Guilleau testified against this man, causing him to earn a public reprimand for his vicious punishments. After his nephew was killed on Malolo Island, he ordered the death of nearly 80 Fijians in revenge. Called notorious by the Bermuda press, this man was put on trial after publicly bashing Gideon Wells for calling him too old. The existence of Antarctica was confirmed by this man's namesake expedition, which lasted from 1838 to 1842 and captured a huge number of animal and plant specimens, which became some of the first scientific holdings of the Smithsonian.
Hayseed?
Nope. Okay, fine. While capturing the San Jacinto, this man ordered the arrest of James Murray Mason and John Slidell, which started a diplomatic crisis with the British. Everyone's named this Union naval officer who ordered the capture of the Trent during the Civil War. That's right.
That's his name. Well done.
Wow. Didn't know he did anything.
Turns out he did so much. During this battle, Daniel McCook was killed as he shouted, "Surrender, you traitors," at dead angle for 10 points each. Named as tactical loss for the Union, the largest frontal assault by William Sherman against Confederates during the Atlanta campaign.
Wow. Kennesaw Mountain? I don't know.
Okay,
Sure, got it.
Kennesaw Mountain.
That's right. Union officers at Kennesaw Mountain included George Thomas, who became known as the Rock of this 1862 battle in Georgia, for holding firm against Braxton Bragg.
Chickamauga.
This Union officer became the second highest ranking officer killed in the war when he was slain at the Battle of Atlanta. In 1864, he assumed command of the Army of the Tennessee after Sherman was promoted to the Union forces in the Western Theater.
Army of Tennessee, 1864. Whoa.
You got it.
Whoa. He's a Buell.
No, it's James McPherson.
Okay.
All right. Oh boy. Okay.
Two more, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Sorry, I wrote like things on the wrong line, basically. All right, two more. 2019. Andy Clark's 1997 paper, The Dynamical Challenge, contains a section about unpacking these concepts, which Clark classifies into weak and strong types using the example of two maze runners. A paper by Stephen Stitch, which argued that the philosophical game of definition and counterexample makes little sense, asked in its title, what is a theory of these concepts? Together with Ted Warfield, Stitch has also edited a collection of essays titled After These Concepts, whose contributors included Ned Block and Peter Godfrey Smith. Robert Cummings wrote a book about meaning and these concepts, while connectionists like Rumelhart have argued that these concepts are identical with synaptic weights. A theory of mind that takes these concepts as central, analogizes mental processes to computational processes, and argues that cognition is the consequence of syntactic operations applied to them. The foremost proponent of this view about these things is Jerry Fodor, who developed that thesis into his language of thought. For 10 points, identify these concepts, which are cognitive elements that model some aspect of the external world.
Mental state.
No. I guess I'll prompt you. No, I'm not.
Very good.
Mental events.
No, these are mental representations.
All right.
All right, here's the last toss-up. In this play, an upset ambassador remarks how he sought out a king in vain because he was off taking a shit in the Golden Hills for 8 months. The protagonist of this play sets up a trading post outside of his house where he packs the sycophant Nicarchus away in hay and trades him to a Boeotian for some eels. The protagonist of this play lives next door to the playwright Euripides, from whom he borrows a beggar's costume to give an impassioned speech, causing the title characters to erupt into violence that is eventually stopped by the General Lamachus.
The Thesmophorians?
That's incorrect. After a nonsense-speaking herald with a giant eye appears in the Pnyx and openly insults the Athenians, the protagonist is accosted by several unhelpful Thracians who steal his bag of garlic. His protagonist holds the basket of coal hostage to defend himself from the war-loving title characters who attempt to stone him to death for securing peace as part of the machinations of the immortal Amphithetus. For 10 points, named this Aristophanes play by the war warrior Dicæopolis, named for the unruly inhabitants of the largest deme of Athens. That's right.
Yeah. Had that right. The one where he makes me.
All right, your bonus. Some of these photographs were taken at the beach house of Robert Longo, while many of them were shot outside different locations in New York City. 10 points each. Name this group of 69 black and white photographs which depict their artists in various wigs, costumes, and locations, inspired by cliches from B-movies.
Untitled film stuff.
This American photographer often portrayed himself in conceptual self-portraits in the series like Untitled Film Stills, Centerfolds, and Sags.
Sherman.
Cindy Sherman is sometimes considered a member of the Pictures generation, along with this fellow artist who photographed reproduction of images from Let Us Not Praise Famous Men in her landmark series After Walker Evans.
Huh. Okay. Like with Cindy Sherman's age group. Okay.
That is Sherry Levine. That is 20 points on the bonus, and the final score stands at 450-60.
Whatever. Fuck it. I have 55 of them. It doesn't matter.
Thanks, Stevie.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's totally,
That's fine.
you're totally right.
Doesn't matter.
Thanks, John.
Again.
Again.
Good meeting you.
Hey, how you guys?
See you later, bud. Where are we off to? Where Mike Bentley came this week. That's what I said.
I'll have 110.
110. All right. While we're in 110, we'll figure out where we want to each read. I think I should go.